What's going on, everybody? Jay Howe here, and with patch 2.2.0 several new sets were released. In particular, one for the wizard, the Delsere's Magnum Opus. It revolves around using attack skills such as Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, or Shock Pulse, while also taking advantage of slow time. Now, this isn't going to be the top tier for your greater rifts. That's going to be left to Tal Raja, at least for now. As more builds come into play, I'll be bringing those to you. If you're new to Season 3, or you just started playing patch 2.2 again and you like the new set and you want to use this, I'm going to go over some of the skills that I've been working with that have been working for me, and also a couple of options that you can go with gear-wise and skill-wise. For the skills, Magic Missile with Conflagrate, Arcane Orb with Scorch, Slow Time with Time Warp, Familiar with Arcanaut, Magic Weapon with Force Weapon, Teleport with Calamity, and then for your passives, Glass Cannon, Blur, Unstable Anomaly, and Astral Presence. Now I'm going to go over a couple variations because I'm using this for a couple specific reasons, although you can go any number of directions. Keep in mind this works really well for T6, maybe some greater rifts, but not too high, but it's still a lot of fun to use. Magic Missile with Conflagrate, and we'll go over the skills and the sets and the set bonuses here in just one second, but we're going to be choosing between Shock Pulse and Magic Missile because that's where we're going to benefit from using stuff from our Delsere's. So Magic Missile with Conflagrate because we're going to be making this a fire build. Arcane Orb with Scorch, this is going to be your main attack, and it actually has, and the reason I'm going with this, now for those of you old school players, Arcane Orb with Frozen Orb does work really well. The problem with Arcane Orb and Frozen Orb that I tend to have, especially for the casual players, the range on this is actually pretty short. If you actually go and use Scorch, you can see that it has a much further distance, and you tend to be able to play at a little bit safer distance and be able to do a little bit more damage this way as well. Slow Time with Time Warp. Now, you can actually go with another item here on your gear, and I'll go over that in a second, but this right here, enemies caught in the bubble of warp time take 15% more damage. That's a pretty nice increase. You can go any number of directions here, whatever fits your playstyle, but that one seems to be the best when you're just trying to clear casual content. Familiar with Arcanaut. Now this is one that you can easily replace. The main reason I'm using this, while the Familiar is active, you regenerate 4.5 arcane power per second. Now, you don't necessarily need a lot of arcane power because you're going to be using both your primary and your regular attack skills. I have an Aether Walker here. You're going to see Teleport no longer has a cooldown but costs 25 arcane power. This is good when you're getting around the map, especially T6 content. You can go and you can see that my Arcane Orb down here is actually filling up with all my arcane power that I need pretty rapidly because of a couple things that I'm using. Now, if you don't want to run with that, you can easily run with Spark Flint to get the extra damage. If you're looking to mitigate damage, you can easily run with Arcane or Energy Armor with Prismatic Armor, and that's one way to do it right there. There's a whole slew of options you can go with in terms of what you run or want to run with. You can go with Mirror Image, Black Hole. You can go with anything you want here and just whatever fits your playstyle. That's what's working for me because this allows me to clear very, very quickly, get around to where I need to go, and simultaneously stay full on arcane power. Magic Weapon with Force Weapon. This is strictly for a 20% damage increase, and I'm going to keep that on there. Now, the other part with Teleport is that I'm using the Calamity Rune, and this actually causes, you can actually see the purple circle emanate around me, and that's because I'm sitting there using this over and over again. And so this is actually going to stun enemies. So if you get into a little bit of danger, you need to get away, or you're teleporting around and you actually teleport into the wrong group, you're going to stun them for 1 second, you can get right back out of there, and you're more than okay there. You can go any number of options there. Wormhole you don't need anymore. You can go with something like Safe Passage, or anything that you want. Since we're running T6, I'm going with Glass Cannon just so we can get the extra damage, but simultaneously I'm running Blur for the damage reduction since you actually lose some of it there. Unstable Anomaly for a second life for all you folks that need that second life, and Astral Presence for more of that arcane power regeneration to go hand in hand with the Arcanaut. So having all that in place, you can see that I can teleport around all day long and not have to worry about too much. Now, when we're looking at the gear, there's a couple of options you can go with. One of the new items is this right here, Crown of the Primus, and you're going to see Slow Time gains the effect of every rune. Now that's quite a bit because that increases the movement speed reduction, It increases the damage that enemies can deal, of course the bonus damage that you're going to deal, and it also stuns enemies there, and if you cast one on yourself, you actually get an increased attack speed. So you can use that, but the reason I'm not is because you'd have to use a Ring of Royal Grandeur in order to activate the 6-piece bonus from the Delsere set. So you'd have to take the helm off, and then you'd take up one of the valuable ring slots. With patch 2.2, the Focus and Restraint, the Bastions of Will rings, are far more powerful than they were before because they're going to give you 50% more damage and 50% more damage when you use a resource spending attack and a resource generating attack. So it actually helps to actually hit with both attacks because that's going to be multiplicative and just increase your damage further. Now looking at the set bonuses, casting Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, or Shock Pulse reduces the cooldown of slow time by 2 seconds. So we can cast it, and you're going to see as I go ahead and cast there, it's already back up, and you can actually keep this spamming all over the map at all the times. That's still going to slow down enemies, it's going to slow down projectiles that are coming at you. It's a very safe way to play, and it's very easy to play and also do damage. Remember, you want to cast this on the enemies so that you benefit from this, and I'm going to get to that here in just 1 second. The 4-piece bonus, enemies affected by your slow time take 2,000% weapon damage every second. Now the thing about this is that it actually takes on the elemental, the highest elemental damage that you have on your gear. That's why you see it red in this one. If you have a different high elemental, if you decide to go with a different Arcane Orb, it's going to show up a slightly different color. Now this in Torment 6 can actually kill enemies by itself. You can actually see that you can actually walk up to an enemy, walk in here, cast it, and it's doing almost 20 million crits, and I didn't even have to cast a single attack. Now you're not going to have that same result all the time everywhere you go, but it certainly doesn't hurt. The 6-piece bonus, enemies affected by your slow time take 750% more damage from your Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, and Shock Pulse abilities. So you're casting this on there, you want the enemies to be caught in that, and you want to hit them with all your different skills, and you're just going to completely wreck them with this, and it's a nice damage output. Now, one other item that's also redone in patch 2.2 is the Triumvirate. If you had one before, unfortunately you're going to have to farm a new one. You're going to see on the secondary there, your signature spells increase the damage of Arcane Orb by, and this is a range from 75 to 100%, for 6 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. You're actually going to see that that shows up right there. So long as you continue casting a primary skill, you're going to have that. You can release it, cast as many as you want. You're going to do 98% more damage, or at least in my case I will be, with my Arcane Orb. Coupling that with the 750% more damage I'm getting from them being affected by slow time, I'm doing alright. Plus the extra 15% damage there. As you can see, it's all stacking up nicely to just do a ton of damage inside there. Now belts, you can go any number of belts that you want. I just have a Tal Rasha's held there. Any amulet that you want, although you can certainly gear this around to be a little bit more specific for your playstyle. Bracers, if you're playing Season 3, Ransler's Folly is a great way to go, and then you can find a way to incorporate your Energy Twister, say somewhere here. So if you're playing Season 3, you could go and switch that out. Something like Wicked Wind where this stays in place. That's going to actually pull all enemies around that area into your orb or into your slow time bubble, and that way you can sit there, cast it in there, and it's going to pull all enemies around it. So if you have those bracers in Season 3, that's a great option to use. Now all of a sudden all of your enemies are inside that bubble and you can hit them all at one time. So keep that in mind if you're playing Season 3. As far as legendary gems, all my good ones are on other characters, but Bane of the Trapped is great because they're going to be under the effect of the slow movement there, so you're going to get the extra damage there. Zai's Stone, like I said, I actually like this because the Scorch has a lot longer range, so I can shoot way over there and feel pretty safe about everything. And so that's just one option I like to go with, and you can go any number of directions there as far as your gear and skills go. For your Paragon points, max your movement speed in conjunction with your gear, then go the rest to intelligence. For your skills, you don't necessarily need cooldown reduction, but it's not going to hurt to be able to get that around a little bit quicker, but you're going to go crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and then cooldown reduction. Defense, armor, all resist, life, and then life regen. And then here, area damage, it doesn't matter which direction you go. Resource cost reduction is not that bad, but it certainly helps, especially if you're doing something like I am with the Aether Walker. If you don't have one of these, any number of options you can go with. The Gesture of Orpheus, That helps the cooldown of a bunch of different stuff. There's all kinds of different wands that you can use out there that either increase elemental damage, that reduce the cooldown of slow time. There's all kinds of things you can use. And so you can go any number of directions. If you like using your Hydras, you can easily go with your Hydra here. And say you want to use a Serpent Sparker, you can go with that as well, especially if you plan on going into like greater rifts or something like that. That might be an option that you want so you can get that continuous damage. Just a couple things to consider while you're gearing up. That's the skills, that's the gear, and that is the Paragon points. If you like the build and you're new to Season 3 or you're new to the set, hopefully this is a good starting point for you. There's going to be a lot more coming with this. I know there's a couple of other options out there, and I'll be bringing those to you guys as well. But I want to mess with this some more and see where we can take this. I'll be putting the Tal Rasha build out there if it's not out already, and you can check that out to go more of your high-end greater rifts. But if you like the build, if you like the video, feel free to hit that like button because that is always appreciated. I would show you some gameplay, but that slow time bubble tends to just wreck stuff in Torment 6 and just makes it a little too easy for me to run through here. But you can go in there, find out for yourself. This is a good starting point. You can go any number of direction that you want. Just remember to continue to use your Magic Missile and Shock Pulse, and continue to use your Arcane Orb or Energy Twister. Generally, it's going to be your Arcane Orb for this build. Use all those in conjunction with everything else we have set up here, and you're going to be doing just fine. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Till next time, happy hunting. See you again.